to be able to try this, or you like this, you want to use it. Like I've made a big point to only align myself with brands that I truly believe in, and I've had camo companies in the past reach out and say, hey, we want to work with you, and at the time, like the amount of money they were offering me was like would have been very substantial, and helping me achieve certain goals. And I had them like send me the stuff, and it's like, listen, like I don't like this. It's noisy. I don't think I'll be warm enough wearing this stuff. And I sent it back. So having like authenticity I think it's super critical, especially when you start taking on paid deals, because as soon as you start taking on sponsorships, people are like, oh, you sold out. And like this year, like I am changing some of my gear and working with some different companies. So it's like you might notice like, oh, wow, you're working with a different optics company now. You sold out. And first of all, it's like, well, damn right I sold out, dude. I'm trying to get paid to hunt and
you're trying to make your living in the industry, and that is how you do it in today's world.
The literal perfect example is on our back. All right, guys.
$3.
One day,
Same tree.
Oh my God, I'm so
Woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say bye, Kevin?
I did. I already did. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Smoking it. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Deer Shop Podcast, episode 25. Today we are joined in the shop by our first outsider, if you will, Aaron Olsen of Next Step Outdoors. Aaron's a mobile hunter who has built up a successful YouTube channel over the last few years. Combination of good camera work. He's killed a bunch of bucks on camera and done some product review videos. As always, the Deer Shop Podcast is brought to you by Siman Brothers Outdoors and the Leaky John Boat Company. This week, guys, we are going to ask the audience to please leave a review if you listen to the episode, especially on Apple Podcasts. It's something that a lot of the guys have been asking people to do because I guess it does really make a difference with the metrics if people leave reviews. So if you're watching and you like it or you hate it or you think we're dumb or you really enjoyed it or you're an Aaron fanboy, whatever it is, leave a review for us. But
you're probably not going to get too many reviews from that.
Well, we've got like 1 or 2 since we've started, so it's not like we have a bunch.
So yeah, go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, leave a review.
Yep.
And
so,
YouTube, leave a comment, like it, whatever.
Yeah. YouTube's a standard game. Everyone, we have our audience there that's pretty much all the same. But Aaron Olsen, Next Step Outdoors. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
I guess you could introduce yourself. I'll just real quickly say that you're a local guy. You're not far. I don't know exactly where you live in proximity to us, but I know you're close.
Not far. I could not today, but I probably could have walked.
Yeah. So you're close by. We heard of you through one of our buddies, Alex, who's been on the podcast a bunch of times. He mentioned maybe a year or 2 ago that there was another YouTuber that got married to a girl we went to school with and lives local and all this stuff. And then we ended up running into you at some family functions with another family that we're friends with, the Saffles, and just some small talk here or there, and decided we better get you on the podcast early. Just in case you get super huge and famous one day, we could say we had you on early. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm 31, from northern Michigan originally. Grew up in Traverse City, which, if you don't know, it's like beautiful beach town, sand dunes.
Rumpalabuck,
Yeah, that's Rumpalabuck,
Yep,
right?
yep. Yeah,
we're going to talk about that for sure.
He's my boy. Played college basketball in the great city of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Not at Michigan, at a D2 school there. Stuck around the Metro Detroit area for a while and started this YouTube channel just as kind of an outlet to scratch the itch when I couldn't be out in the woods. I'd been filming my hunts for a while just for fun and be able to look back on hunts and share them with my friends and family, and figured, hey, why not start posting things? Yeah. That's kind of escalated to what's now my full-time career. 2.5 years ago, moved down to North Central Ohio.
We call ourselves Northeast Ohio, but we're like right in the Appalachian foothills. Like it starts to get kind of hilly. I don't want you guys to think that we're like the east side. So yeah, kind of right in the middle of Ohio, sort of.
Yep.
North of Columbus, south of Cleveland.
So as soon as I moved here, started killing big bucks because that's what happens in Ohio, and here we are.
I wanted to talk about the difference between Michigan and Ohio.
It's pretty much the same.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. It's totally different.
Well, I mean, like,
I didn't think so.
You hear Traverse City, the only, everyone that knows anything about hunting and social media and the internet knows about the Rumpalabuck, and apparently he killed how many 160 plus bucks in and around Traverse City over the years. You know, he had 5 or 6 in the record books, but every once in a while you see the big bucks from Michigan, and there's definitely some bigger ones in the UP, or used to be at least, I guess, before regulation changes. But yeah, here in Ohio, we're kind of known as a sleeper. I guess it's not a sleeper anymore.
I think word's out.
Yeah, word's out.
It was a sleeper state. We were in the coattails of Iowa and Illinois and stuff, but now it's Ohio.
Yeah, we actually outpace Iowa. So that's one of the arguments we've had amongst our group is, you know, Iowa is the big buck mecca, but you know, Ohio puts more bucks in the record book than Iowa does.
Yeah, but Iowa's a little different. There is a 170 behind every tree in Iowa.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Our buddy shot one this year, and that's what he said.
He hadn't been out there for what, 10 years, and he shot one.
I think 5 years. So 5 years to draw his tag out there.
Yeah, but he like purposely held out so he could get the points for a good unit, and then, you know, he actually wounded a 170 and then killed a 170.
Yeah, so which we had Jay on the podcast, and he talked about that a few episodes ago.
Well, I screwed up. I went to a lesser quality unit, and that was not my experience.
Yeah,
some good bucks, but
I was going to
probably something where you only had a few points to draw.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you took a cameraman out there, and it was just rough, you said?
I've been cutting up the footage, and I think the way it felt in the moment was a lot worse than it actually was, because I'm like, oh, wow, we actually did see quite a few bucks. And we went out there and it was all public land. We did do some actually like cold calling. I just started calling people off of Onyx and landed a couple permission pieces and had some sweet hunts, but ended up killing on public land on my last day. So
nice.
Yeah, we kind of always run into that too. Like during the hunt, we always think, man, this is awful, or you know, maybe it wasn't so good. But then you go back and it's like, man, we had like, you know, 2 or 3 encounters and this and that, and it's like, man, it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
except for Indiana this year.
Indiana this year was awful. The weather, man.
It was 85 degrees.
So I think I kind of invited you to that this year. Like I kind of threw it out there.
I think you, Joey, and the guys from Born Again, they all invited me, and you know, it's just one of those things. Well,
you didn't miss anything.
At the time, I had a 2-month-old kid and already had my trips planned for the year, and it's like, I don't think I'll get away with that in another one. So
it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. I always enjoy it. Deer camp was a lot of fun. We had a good time, but like 2 years in a row now, we've been screwed by weather. I mean, it was 80 plus degrees.
When you guys go like mid-October?
No, we went.
This was end of October.
Yeah, we came back the day before Halloween, and it was 80 degrees, and it was just
because last year when I killed my buck, we went a week earlier, so I think I killed it on the 19th or 20th. So we had one good day of hunting. It was cold. I killed my buck, and then at 80 degrees the rest of the time. Crappy. Yeah. This year we're like, we'll go a week later. Seasons will line up a little bit better. It'll be colder, and it was 85 the whole time.
I wish there was a way. So when you're hunting, like, you know, we kind of know that area a little bit now, and it's not like there's not crops and all this other stuff, but man, when it's that hot and you're on public land, and the deer really aren't that pressured there, because like we're hunting small. We're not hunting. It wasn't a big giant, you know, state forest. It was a broken up property.
Just a bunch of state land that's all spread out.
The deer aren't extremely pressured. We ran into no other hunters. I found one trail camera that it was 1 foot off the ground, pointed down. Probably didn't have batteries in it. Didn't run into any stands that were in use. A couple old ones. So like, we know the deer aren't getting extremely pressured until probably gun season, but when it was that hot, there was just no movement. I mean, you'd find – I was hunting a line of scrapes, and this is going to sound old to the people who have listened to our podcast before because we've talked about it a lot, but I'm on public land. I got 20 scrapes in a line in front of me, rubs everywhere, and you sit there for 12 hours and see nothing.
Yeah.
The wind's blowing. My wind's blowing over the edge. Everything's halfway decent. I'm 25 feet up on public land, trying every little tip and trick I can to see a deer, and it's 85 degrees. You're sweating. You're miserable. And there's just nothing.
And we had some trail cameras in the area, so we knew there was some good bucks.
Yeah.
And it was all just nighttime movement when it was that hot. And I think a week before we went, there was a couple cold days. Yeah. And that's when we got pictures and videos of.
Yeah. So my trail cameras, anytime it was under 30 in the morning, I had shooter bucks on camera, at least somewhere. I had 4 regular cameras and 2 or 3 cell cams. And like every morning it was cold, we had a deer that was worth killing on one of those cameras. But when it was hot, nothing moving. 3 a.m.
It was
surprising. Have a buck come through at 3 a.m.
Because we did have some big bucks.
We had
for cameras going in there cold. That was pretty surprising.
Probably 5 over 120 and 3 over 130 and 1 close to 150.
And that's all you can ask for on public land.
But we didn't see them, of course.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what's so tough about trying to do trips around that time of season. I think historically I've tried to stay local. I'm not a very good early season hunter. Like wherever I live seems like it takes me a while.
Yeah.
But I've been doing these out of state trips like early September And it seems like that time of year, they're super unpressured. And even if it's 110 degrees, they're still moving in daylight a lot of times, even if it's a little bit. And if you get out to some of those plain states, you can see them from a long ways away. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing how, and on top of that, they're very, in my experience, very tolerable pressure. Like I'll go in, scout, next day have an encounter with a buck, get busted. The next, like today or this year, I had 6 encounters with the same buck before I killed him.
I watched that video,
and that's one thing we haven't tried yet is kind of going out, not west, but kind of to the Midwest, like the Iowas, Dakotas, Kansas, Missouri. We've never tried those states yet.
Yeah,
all of our early season hunting has been like Kentucky.
Yeah, Ethan did Kentucky this year, 2 weekends, buck encounters both weekends. Got close to a shot, but didn't connect. But I mean, it was a successful 2 trips, I would say.
For looking at a map and picking a point and just going. I had a good time.
You never scouted it prior?
Nope.
I made a couple long weekend trips last off season, planning on hunting Kentucky, and then I ended up getting invited to hunt with a group of guys in North Dakota and bailed on Kentucky. But I mean, Kentucky is obviously super well, or it's getting to be known for a
well-known.
Well, they're in the top 5 now
yeah.
for bucks.
Especially for velvet bucks, too. 'Cause it's
Yeah,
one of
and
the
they
closest
got
states
that-
to us that we can hunt
Yeah.
early season.
And, so if you look at everyone from PA and Michigan and Ohio, like everyone's going to.
And all those people from the South will come up to Kentucky.
Yep.
So the ones that don't hunt until January, like Alabama, Arkansas, those people, they'll come up.
And they got the bow-only counties where they're just killing it with the mature deer. We haven't done anything west of the Mississippi hunting-wise for whitetails yet. Isaac's been out west a bunch for other stuff. But for whitetails, we have not done the west of the Mississippi. And we've kind of started to talk about it a little bit. But, I mean, the difference between a 4, 5, 6 hour drive and hunt for 3 or 4 days to come back is a lot different when there's like a 12-hour, 14-hour drive.
You go out to western Nebraska or North Dakota, it's 19 hours.
Yeah.
So you're
did
dedicated.
Nebraska.
Yeah, we did Nebraska
Right
once.
there, it's 2 full days, or basically 3 days of driving. If you're going to break it up a little bit, of just driving, nothing else. So you got to allocate, 10 days at least to have a decent amount of time. And
then Isaac, he does a lot of he does a lot of Montana, Idaho type stuff, and he takes a month for it. Like because you're driving
it's pretty much a month. You got 3 days driving in the front, 3 days driving in the back, and then going between spots. And if you have more than one tag, you pretty much just need.
What tags are you normally stacking on trips like that?
So I've only been doing the out west thing for 3 years. So last year was Montana. I did mule deer and elk, so I was kind of hunting the whole state. And that video hasn't come out yet, but I'll have that done for this upcoming season. And the year before that, we did Utah. I actually did Utah for mule deer and Idaho for elk.
And Montana the last 2 years for bears in the spring.
That is true, yeah.
I think
Also,
I'm doing that this year. Would you recommend?
Yes.
The bear
I would.
trip?
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you have time and you can do it, I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, that might be my favorite hunting trip I've ever taken.
And that's also a trip we haven't
We didn't
shared
see
yet.
shit this year, but it was still one of my favorite hunting trips.
So we went 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
First year I went, weather was awesome. It was cold, snowing. Killed my bear the first day. My buddy, he had an opportunity on like the 5th day, and we saw bears like almost every day. I think we hunted for like 9 days. But this year we went 16-day trip, 3 days driving on both sides. And we saw one bear that whole time.
Wow.
We saw 2 bears. We saw a dead one in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in the median on the highway. Brown color face, too.
12 hours from home, and we
Super
were hunting
pretty.
36 hours from home.
But the trip, like that spring bear hunt's a cool.
That's another. That was our
cool
story of the season last year. We got killed by weather on that. We got out there. All the snow melted like 2 weeks before we got there. It greened up. Bears came out of hibernation.
Spread out.
Hit all the green, and then they went down in the bottoms. So the way we hunt them, we're glassing them. We're trying to shoot them in the mountains. And from everything we could tell, they were already off the mountaintops and into the river bottoms because it got so hot.
What's the pressure like? Is there other people driving around? And
I've only ever seen one bear hunter.
Yeah, we've only ever seen one.
Okay.
Well,
so you guys are in a bad spot, clearly.
So our video's not out yet, and our video and our podcast is not out about it yet, and there's a lot that we'll talk about in those. But we had a mystery situation where there was a car parked on the one mountain. We drove all the way up. We found his gun, and we found his binocular harness, but we never found him.
They're still looking for him.
I guess.
They might be. We think he was over the hill, going to the bathroom or talking on the phone. We were in a weird spot where there was phone service, so we think maybe that's what he was doing.
I still don't know why he wouldn't have his gun.
That he would leave his gun.
I don't know. Maybe he killed himself up there or something.
Maybe, and also he could have been with somebody else too, and they were recovering a bear. Or they were doing something.
And then I think, and obviously this is more for that podcast, but the more I think about it, I think we fucked up.
Oh yeah,
and camped at Moose Paddle where the bears were feeding because we found we bumped a bear on the way in, and then we found bear shit everywhere, and then we camped kind of right on that and walked away to glass all these south-facing slopes, and I think we were right where the bear wanted to be with our camp.
We were trying
that bear moved out of town.
We were trying to do what we did the year before, which was glass the mountainsides where the bears are coming out, eating right when the snow's melting, basically. And like I said, I think the bears were already down low.
Because we ran into a beautiful, large, color-faced bear in the first 35 minutes of
walking in like a mile
on the
from
first
the
spot. We walked right around the bend, and bam, giant color-faced bear running down the road. None of us had a gun out, and that was the last bear we saw in the woods for 16 days.
It was a rough trip.
I'm sure it's different if you're like out there and you're a big bear hunter, but just for like the average Joe, are you only trying to kill a male or female? Does it matter?
Yeah,
certain size.
So the first year we went, when we were actually seeing bears, there was bears we were passing on to try to get a bigger bear. This year we were going to just try to, if it was a lone bear and it was a male and it was bigger than a cub, we were shooting basically.
Because there was 3 of us with tags, so we were trying to like fill as many tags as possible.
And it's really strange. So you got to do a lot of research on how to size these bears, because the bear that I shot first day in 2022,
footage makes it looks big.
Yeah,
we filmed this bear.
We filmed this bear for 15 minutes. Make sure it doesn't have any cubs. Looks big, bushy, blah blah blah. Shoot it at 430 yards. Go over there and find it and pull this thing on, and it's a dog. It's like less than 100 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, the guy that invited me, he lives out there, and his name's Dylan Dietz. He kind of does like hunting comedy. You guys should look him up. But he said
not my thing.
He said he said that all of the bears that they kill are like 130, 140 pounds or less.
That big. But
you look at the.
If you go back to my old video, we saw one. I don't know how big it was, but it looked as big as that couch.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the size of their ears. If they have real big ears, that means their head's small in their ear, because all their ears are about the same size. Mm-hmm. So if they look like they have really small ears, like a little teddy bear, it kind of tells you that the bear is huge. And this thing is just walking like this.
It looks like Mordew off of Brave is what it looks like.
Giant bear.
So we've actually gotten. I feel like we've gotten a lot better in the last 3 years of judging bears, because we start running into them everywhere now. We run into them in West Virginia, Pennsylvania. We're starting to see a lot more bears while we're hunting, and it's easier to judge size now.
Mm-hmm. And that big,
because when you first see a bear, you think a bear's big. You know?
And that big bear, we almost got a shot at. It was after I shot mine, so I'm spotting for my buddy. He's getting all set up for a shot, and this thing, it stayed right on the ridge. So we didn't want to shoot while he was on the ridge. Plus, he was like 500 some yards away. And we didn't want to shoot over the ridge into a valley where, there's farms and houses and ranches and shit. But he never gave us a good opportunity.
I'm going to bust balls for 1 second because I know he's listening. And Jay wouldn't hit it anyways. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, Jay, but I've seen enough to
This
know
was
that,
2 days after he missed one at 380 yards.
How many? So. We don't need to get into muzzleloader season. But I don't know if Jay would have hit it. But to be fair, Jay went back last year. And we're getting way off topic here, but Jay went back last year and killed a bear. The guy we go bear hunting with, our buddy Columbus Fireman, he's been on the podcast a couple times. He went back and killed one with his bow in Montana while elk hunting. Walked up around the
this
bend,
fall.
Ran into a black bear, killed it with his bow. Great story. So we'll be able, and he had some camera equipment on him when he did it, so we'll be able to incorporate that into our film.
Our terrible trip, he did end up filling a tag.
Yeah.
It's just 6 months later in the fall.
It's awesome. But yeah, we came here to talk whitetails and saddle hunting.
Montana bear hunting.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on the west stuff, just one last tidbit. Do you have any plans? I know you said possibly, because I went through your videos. I'm like, he hasn't been out west yet, or at least he hasn't shown that he's been too far out west yet.
So I would love to do. I'm afraid to get into elk hunting because I think I first of all I just can't afford another passion and time-consuming thing, and I'm afraid once I start, I'll just go all in on that. So I'm probably gonna. One of my buddies was trying to talk me into doing that this year instead of doing an early season whitetail hunt. But my train of thought the last bunch of years is I want to get really good at whitetail hunting before I start diversifying too much and just being okay at everything.
Well, don't worry, Isaac hates elk hunting.
I'm just really bad at everything.
Yeah. So to
I
answer
wouldn't say it that way, but you're bad at killing elk, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'd like to do more of that stuff eventually, but for now at least this next season, I'm just planning on
just whitetails.
Maybe that bear hunt in the spring, but otherwise just whitetail.
I would definitely do the bear hunt. I would recommend. 100%.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. I love the idea of all these hunts, and I love the fact that I might, one day be able to go out and start filming these guys do some of that stuff. And I love the bear hunt, but I'm pretty much going to stick to whitetails, possibly maybe mule deer, but
it is
I'm going to be whitetails.
It's such a huge commitment to go out there.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
And we, the nice thing is we now have the gear for the most part. We have some spots and we have a knowledge of how it works, but I just love the whitetail hunt.
Yeah.
Whitetails and turkey. That's what I.
And a lot of people don't talk about it enough. That if you know somebody out there that's a local and that has experience doing that, you take off about 2 or 3 years.
That's what I'm working on.
Yeah, so that learning curve, 2 or 3 years is taken off right away if you go to someone that has spots, has knowledge, has experience.
Yeah.
We kind of did that on our own, and obviously it's cost us some pretty crappy hunts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have had some good hunts, though.
We have had some good hunts. Yeah, and we've killed some.
My counter to my train of thought would be like you only have so many hunting seasons in your life, and some of those more demand. Like you can
seasons left.
You can be in a wheelchair and wheel out to a whitetail blind.
Yeah, and if you got 3 kids in high school playing sports, you can still whitetail hunt.
Yeah. Isaac had a year he had a bum knee and he had to take a scooter out to the whitetail.
Exactly, like
you'd have I think
you'd have a hard time doing that in the mountains. So I don't know. I'll probably start doing it just because you never know how many seasons you got left, and while I'm able-bodied.
That's exactly what I did. I decided to go for it because before I have kids, before I'm married, blah, 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 before I'm too old. So, yeah, I would say do it now.
Yeah, because I'm screwed.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to do very much next year besides hunt around here. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of why we're here today, actually. Aaron runs a successful YouTube channel. He's a successful mobile hunter, and so we're going to kind of talk about that kind of stuff. This is just going to be kind of like a tips and tricks and kind of tools of the trade and differences and stuff. But when it comes to the mobile hunting stuff, Ethan is actually our only mobile hunter in our whole group. We have, 5 to 6 guys filming and 8 to 10 guys that hunt with us on our channel, and he's the only one doing any of the saddle game stuff.
Everybody we hunt with when we go out of state, though, uses saddles.
Yeah,
we're the only ones using stands.
Yeah, we've already had on the podcast Latitude Outdoors with Joey. We've had Robert Kennedy with Trophy Line. We've had him on the channel. So we've had some guys that are involved with the saddle industry and the mobile hunting stuff. But me, Isaac, Luke, some of the other guys, Matt, that does mobile hunting with us, we stick to the tree stands, and we're still lugging 60 pounds of shit.
Circa 2010 Lone Wolf Alphas. That's what we're using.
The Alpha is not even the Assault.
I have an Alpha and an Assault.
Okay.
I have 2 XOPs, and they are bastards. Let me tell you,
heavy.
Let me tell you, they don't. The worst part is I don't know. They don't cinch to the tree very good. Like no matter what I do, the top part's off the tree, and I'm moving around. But Ethan's our saddle guy. You can go. We've already talked about his setup before, but you guys can definitely go over some stuff on. I watched your last video or your one video on the quick setup, the how to set up quickly, the 10-minute video. And there's some things in there I actually liked that I could use with my setup. I'm not a fan of aiders. I used Isaac's aiders a few times this year, and I ended up just jumping out of the tree at the final.
Yeah, because I use one aider and only on the bottom stick.
Yeah,
because
it doesn't. I can't get my boot in it.
You got to be careful, but it helps you get that first, especially when you're using double steps. They're real small. It helps you get that first stick here instead of way down here. So it gives you 3 feet with just one little aider,
and then you can jump off it to get to the ground.
Yeah, and if you have to, you can jump off.
But yeah, you pretty much move. You don't have any preset stands at all.
That's not true. On properties that I like, private land that I have access to hunt, if it's a place that I'm gonna repeatedly hunt, like I have like here locally, I bounce around a couple smaller pieces, nothing giant. But the largest one, I do have presets out there, and if it's a spot that I know I'm for sure gonna hunt multiple times. It's nice to have it all trimmed out and be able to just slip in and be quiet and know that your shooting lanes are clear and everything else. But otherwise, even on those same pieces, I'm mobile hunting more times than not just because I'm bouncing around trying to find deer and whatnot.
Yeah, I love having those preset tree stands. We have obviously owning the farm and having our own farm. We have a bunch, but it just makes us so the difference between packing all your crap, getting in early, setting up, getting up, and all that, and just walking to the base of your stand and shooting up.
Especially when you
crazy.
film.
Yeah.
Filming.
Getting up in tree is one thing, but then you got to set up all your camera gear, and some people run more cameras than others. It's a lot. So.
My camera gear weighs just as much as the stand. Probably. I have so much crap that I bring with me.
Because he's using a giant arm, giant camera.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just it's a pain in the ass. I love doing it like one trip a year, but the saddle stuff. I'm sure eventually I'll kind of get into it. Maybe.
You need to, because the way that you hunt, especially when you hunt around here with your buddies when you're filming them.
Yeah.
He's always stealing our platforms and going to hang a platform, whether he's hunting with Nick or Tyler. He's hanging a platform and then he's leaving it there for the next time. Then he's like, crap, we're going to hunt a different stand. So he steals another platform. If you just had a saddle, you can just, clip in, film, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So that would be very helpful for all of us.
So what saddle are you running?
I am running All Latitude Outdoors stuff. I am this year I ran their Method 2, which is their 2-panel saddle. The year before I used their Classic 2, which is just a super simple single panel, and I like them both. They're a little bit different. The 2-panel definitely has more adjustability and more different ways you can kind of tailor it for, comfort, I suppose.
Yeah. And you're using Latitude sticks?
Yeah, so they came out with those carbon sticks this year, and, people like them, people don't like them. And
I love just reading, like you sit on social media and you get on in the morning or whatever, and you just like the war between all these companies and their fanboys is interesting. Someone broke one of the carbon sticks, and it was like the end of the world for 2 weeks. Everyone was talking about how like, oh, these sticks, blah 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 blah.
Not safe in the cold weather.
And it's so funny. The people that seem to be most passionate about it aren't the ones actually working for those companies or sponsored by those companies. It's just the fanboys, basically.
What always bugs me about those posts, like I saw one, probably the one you're talking about, and like 20 people asked, how did you break this? Because I've been running these and I've never had a problem. And like the guy never addressed that.
Yeah. So he probably hooked it up wrong. He probably jumped on it.
Did something
ran
stupid
over
with
his
it.
truck and just
Wants attention.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I used them this season. I mean, I've been hunting from September 1st, and I'm still going at it. And, I've done multiple out-of-state trips and whatnot, and hang and hunt almost every time, and I've never had an issue with them. I love them. I think they pack super well. They're super lightweight. I like, at first I didn't love this step. It's a little different, but it's overall
it sits a little closer to the tree.
It's a little closer to the tree.
Aren't you supposed to kind of like side foot it?
Yeah, and I've really got to
it
like.
It almost has like
it has a lot of surface
stair.
area.
Yeah.
So I've really grown to like that. I started using the single step aiders. I actually stopped using those for the most part. I still have them hooked up on there, but I kind of keep them wrapped up unless I really need to stretch them out. And then I use a 3-step aider on the bottom stick, kind of like you were saying. Get that first one way up there, and then
that way, if you do slip, if you do fall, you're just falling.
Yeah.
How high do you go?
Typically, I mean, I like getting high, but when you're hunting public land, or in even a lot of my cases, I'm hunting private land, and they're not trees that I've been in before,
right.
And I'll cut some on private land, if there's branches or trim or whatever. But I'm trying to be I'm like overly conservative in my hunting approach as far as like noise and trying to, be stealthy. So I don't cut a lot. I try to be as minimal as possible. So obviously that kind of dictates how high I go. Sometimes I end up lower than I would if I could have just, taken my time and trimmed out a spot preseason.
Because I'm a 12-footer.
Yeah, and a lot of people
I'm a 12-foot guy.
A lot of people are like 20, 22 foot. They try to get that high. But as soon as you get that high, you're in the canopy and you can't see anything.
Like Joey, so when we had Joey on here talking, he said it was, when they're doing their stuff, they're at 20, 25. I'm like, man, that's far.
I guess it depends on where you are, but where we hunt, there's not really, especially when you're on fence lines and edge of fields and stuff, you can't get that high and be able to see.
He killed his 200-inch buck like 8 feet off the ground. So like there is something to be said about being low, and I just, and, we're kind of limited with so compared to you guys, the saddle guys, we can hunt stands with branches, but we're still looking for straight trees, when you have,
because we're stuck there against the tree shooting. You guys can.
I always look for a double tree, but there's never a good double tree anywhere near where I need to be on public land, so I'm always on a single tree with all the camera gear, and it sucks.
I feel like I got busted a few times this year, just not having a lot of cover. But I'm like, man, why am I getting busted? And it's like, well, I got me 6'5", 225, and then I got this camera arm up here. I got this camera here. I got this 360 cam on a big stick hanging out. I got my bow. Like there's just so much going on in the tree.
Everything's hanging off of you.
We don't have any carbon sticks, right?
No.
Are we probably going to buy some?
I mean, I don't see a reason to. We have good sticks. We have Novik sticks.
I would sell those XOPs in a heartbeat to get lighter sticks. Because we have 2 sets of XOP sticks, and they're good for like around here.
Oh, the 3-step? Yeah, those things suck.
They're good for around here for like basically a permanent setup. I still have some in the woods, actually.
Like those are nice where you can just drive a field edge, toss them out of the truck, and then set them up. But I hate hauling those big ones.
They literally weigh about 15 pounds.
And another problem is the size of them walking through the woods. I mean, come on. It's like a mountain backpack. I'm getting caught on all this shit. Like, especially when we're in Indiana, there's a lot of low-level browse. Everything's getting caught, and like there's, my 1 mile walk back through the woods, I'd have to stop and readjust my backpack and tighten things up
so
2 or 3 times.
That reason right there, aside from just the weight of everything, that, like, having a low profile is one of the biggest advantages, in my opinion, of
because I'm
saddle
walking around
hunting.
all stocky.
Like
this,
everything fits like within the profile of my shoulders. Like there's not a tree stand, because I mean I did the tree stands, I did this, the taller sticks and everything, and you're trying to duck under stuff, you're getting caught, and they're catching your branches, and you got to back up and pull the.
And that's the one thing we do. So since we use stands, we put the stand on our back and everything gets strapped to that. I would love to be able to put a backpack on that has everything strapped to it.
Yep.
So that's like the one advantage of the saddle game is the small platform.
What backpack are you running?
This last year I ran the First Light. What is it? The transfer pack.
That's what Spanny
has. Yeah, big.
It's very big.
Small on you though.
I could fit a lot of stuff in there. This year I'm gonna be running something different. I'm not quite sure yet.
Isn't Latitude coming out with a backpack?
I saw it on somebody's story at ATA. I've been even the companies I work with, like, they haven't shared a lot of stuff with me. Some have more than others, but so I'm sitting there watching everyone's Instagram stories, trying to catch a glimpse of all this new
what
gear
they're coming out with.
I mentioned in the podcast to him, I'm surprised that he's not at ATA, but like you said, you have a 3-month-old at home.
Five-month old, and on top of that, so the last bunch of years it's been in Indianapolis, which wouldn't be too bad of a drive for us. Well, I got talked into doing a late season Missouri trip we left Christmas Day and came back New Year's Day.
Okay.
And that was a hike, and I just basically came right back from Missouri, looked at ATA, and realized I was in Missouri this year, and I was like, man, that was...
Yeah, you don't want to drive back there.
Usually long drives don't bug me too bad, but this late in the year, I'm a little worn out, and I got it, and also, I've been doing nothing but hunting for the last 4 months, and now it's like, I kind of need to make some money. I need to start editing and doing some of the things that actually are going to...
Speaking to the choir on that, man,
yeah.
We've been grinding since September. It's
sucks.
It doesn't suck, but it sucks a little bit here and there. Indianapolis is a fun town. We've had some times.
We have had some times.
They have the fire convention there every year, the big fire training convention. So we've done the Indianapolis thing. That's fun. I guess we can just keep going down that same road you're saying. What companies are you working with right now? You mentioned Latitude.
So Latitude's one of my big ones. Onyx. This year, the hat and this and reason why I probably will not be running this First Light pack that I ran this last year. I'm working with Numa Outdoors. They're a camo company.
Okay.
And
I've seen some of their stuff around.
Yeah.
I think maybe Matt from Born Again wears their stuff.
Does he?
I think. I'm not sure.
So they've the last bunch of years been more of like a Western based company, and what I am helping them with and kind of basically they're launching, I don't know, they're launching this at ATA, so it's got to be somewhat public knowledge. So, and maybe they won't.
This won't
listen
get
to this.
posted until Monday.
I
promise you, they probably won't.
No, you don't have to flag it. Anyways, they're launching a white.
They ain't listening.
They're launching a whitetail line, so that's how I kind of got hooked up with them. It was real appealing to them that I did majority whitetail hunting.
Okay.
So I've been wearing their stuff since my rut trip early November, where the whole rest of the season, and it's top of the line gear. It's like right up. I've ran Sitka gear, I've ran First Light. Both of them make great gear. The stuff's like right up there with it as like a premium whitetail line.
We tend to lean towards First Light, I think, here for the most part. We have everything. We have QU. I got Sitka gear. I wear a lot of like cheap. Yeah, Ethan wears the Origin. He looks like
like that Ninja Turtle camo.
Oh yeah, he looks like a
there.
Vietnam Special Forces guy.
You got the Jocko bucket hat too.
No, not yet.
Like platoon out there, but I run a lot of 511 gear and just. Nothing crazy. We mix and match for the most part. We have some guys on our crew that are full First Light. Like mine's
mostly First Light, which I bought all for Western hunting and just use it whitetail hunting.
But I'm not opposed to trying anything. I don't have a brand loyalty when it comes to camo. I could care less. So I hunt in a green hoodie half the time.
I had a question about that. So since you were wearing their whitetail line that's coming out this weekend, basically. Does that mean you couldn't post a lot of your videos and pictures and stuff until after this weekend?
So so my trip to Iowa in November was the first like official paid cameraman I had with me ever, which was a learning curve and experience in its own. So, but I have a ton of content. I've never had somebody following me around taking pictures and video and everything. So I have pictures from all of that, and then I killed here in Ohio, and like I had to take 2 sets of pictures with everything. One I just put in I was wearing like a flannel jacket, and then I took all the ones and the stuff that I was actually wearing,
Okay.
but I haven't been able to post any of that. So it's made it a little difficult because it's like I wanted to get those hunts out ASAP, but now being this time of the year, you know, I don't know, side tangent on the YouTube thing, like posting videos like this time of year, like kill videos and stuff, I feel mine historically have not done well because everybody's burnt out. Everybody's been watching hunting stuff. And
ours is December, and once you get past December, it's
exactly. So
yeah,
I post
all the way
these
down.
like what I considered, in my opinion, decently well-produced videos, and they don't perform well at all. So I think this year I'm going to basically wait until August, September, October, take my time to really put a lot of effort into making high-quality videos from them, and then post them when interest is actually at a high level. So it kind of works out.
you can wear the stuff that wasn't released yet. So
Exactly.
show all that.
So it's kind of a
noticed
blessing in disguise.
I never really noticed that in the industry per se, like YouTube and stuff like that, until this year. I think it was the Matthews Lift or something. So that got released. I think it was September. Maybe it was not till October. But the day they announced that bow on YouTube, you saw Levi Morgan, you saw Chris B, you saw all of them just post, moose hunting video. They posted all their videos like that day because they can't show them until after that comes out.
So we've always been, and now we're segueing in a more, heading my direction, but that's fine. We've always been record content, edit it the next week, put it out. Our entire YouTube existence has been that way, no matter what. A couple times we've done it a little bit differently. Like Isaac's bear film from last year, we actually released in December because that's when our best metric month was,
And
which
it did
kind of helped.
Well.
But
it
skyrocketed more come spring when it was bear time. So this year we still got everything out live for the most part. But right now we're at this point where like YouTube for everyone, not even for deer hunters, on January 1st, it drops off a cliff and they basically reset the market and redo not the algorithm, but the advertising and the money. So like to get into the nerd stuff, our CPM cut in half on January 1st. It went from 29 to 14.
Yeah, for no other reason
day.
Besides it clicking over to the new year.
And our video views are actually doing okay right now. And if I kill a buck, so we're still hunting here in Ohio. You're tagged out, but like me and Ethan are still hunting. Isaac's tagged out. Half our crew's tagged out. If we kill a buck, we're going to continue with the show that we're running, and we will post it in real time and just eat the fact that it's going to not have good metrics. But we're going to go back next fall, and all these bucks that we killed this year that we have all this backstory from and stuff, none of that was included in our videos this year. So this year we just did like the live version of whatever happened. Our Deer Camp Chronicles was whatever we filmed that week is what was on the video. I never put any pre-roll trail camera videos, historical stuff. None of that stuff was included. So next fall I can go back with each individual buck that we killed this year, and I got 3 that I have to do it on now, which is nice. I'd love to have 4 or 5, but we have 3
trying.
where I can go back and tell the complete story. We have sheds from every deer we killed. We have a shed from, I think, except one. We can go back and tell these stories, and I'll get those for October lined up.
So we're
our
gonna
bear film from last spring. We're gonna release this spring.
Yeah, those
we're kind of
crush.
starting to do what the market, THP and all those guys. They save a lot of footage. They don't post until the perfect time, and we're going to start kind of doing some of that as well.
And I did that this year with my Western stuff, and it seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the top 10 video
so
for us.
Last year I hunted Utah in August. By the time I got home, got the video worked out, it was like October and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm not going to post it then. So I waited all the way until this August.
And that's tough to do.
It is tough to do, and
It hurts my soul.
Yep.
But it did do pretty well, and I'm doing the same thing this year. I got like a 4-part series of my Montana trip, and I won't release that till probably early September, I would think. Right when everybody's in the elk and mule deer hunting time frame.
A lot of guys do that now, so there's guys looking back, some of the local guys that we converse with YouTube channel wise, Born Again, and then Joey with Wild Time and stuff and Latitude. Those guys don't have the time to edit in real time and get their stuff out.
Because they're still hunting.
Like we
I mean, that's my problem. It's so, like, I might be able to swing it, but
right.
You're not going to pull me out of the woods, I'm going to be real honest. So until I can hire an editor, which, I'm barely hire myself right now.
I don't know if I would ever be able to go that route because I would never be able to relinquish the creative control. Like for me, I wouldn't be able to do it. But like it's nice to have this diversity because our channels are vastly different. Our channel has no sponsors, and we have actually, we'll get the emails, we'll get the mass emails from companies, and they'll be asking us to do this or do that or partnership, and I'll throw it out to the brothers and the guys, and like every single time it's been, I don't feel like doing that because of the commitment, like you're talking about, like for example, we had Bushnell reach out with their parent company to do a trail camera thing this year. They wanted to test out some cell cameras and send them, and we had to do this and this and this and this. And at face value, that stuff's cool. Like, oh yeah, we could do that, no problem. But then it's like, well, we're already running 100 trail cameras of different companies and this and that. And it's like, I don't really feel like. And then so we always end up saying no.
And then we look at our end goal too. Like, so we all have careers, jobs. Ethan's working on it. But so we have all that we're not going to leave for this industry.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like to do for fun, to do for memory's sake.
Yep.
Obviously, someone like you who's doing it for a living, it's a completely different operation of how you work.
Yeah, and we talked to like Matt from Born Again, and he, they have probably 10 sponsors now, and their podcast has the 5 minutes of sponsorships in the beginning, and their videos they had to use this camo, this broadhead, this that.
Because he's trying to do the
yes.
living thing, make a living out of it.
I would assume eventually his end goal, if he could be, would be to do full-time YouTube with this whole crew. But that's not our goal, so we've always kind of, and we have so many different guys with so much different equipment and so many
I was
going to
say, you were saying how you saddle hunts, you're using XOP, you're using Lone Wolf.
We're all wearing different camo, we're using different cameras, we're shooting different bows, arrow, everything. There's no way we could bring it all together unless we really wanted to be serious about making a living out of it.
Yeah, and I'm sure like certain companies would get a whole, let's just say we took a partnership with whatever company. I'm sure if they took a deep dive in our videos, at some point they'd be like, listen, guys, you got to stop swearing. You got to stop doing deer drives. You got to stop showing so much alcohol after you kill a deer. Like, there's so many things that they're going to tell us to stop doing.
And we're just going to say no.
And we're just going to tell them fuck themselves. You know what I mean? So it works good for us.
45 minutes. That's pretty good.
No, I had one earlier.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
I had one at like the 7 minute.
It was like the 17.
We're so used to swearing that.
And you've probably been recording before we actually started.
True. That is true.
But yeah. So I have nothing against the sponsor game, but it's just something we haven't,
it's just different goals. Like, and we'll have you talk about how you work and stuff like that, because it's different.
And to be honest with you, if, like we're on the TV right now, if Redneck Blinds showed up and said, hey, you got to hunt only out of rednecks and here's 5 free ones. Well, of course we're going to do that. I can get rid of
especially on a day like today.
Yeah, I can get rid of some of my shitty blinds if I want to get 5 rednecks. First Light came to us and said, listen, we'll give every single guy a full 3-season suit. Okay. But that's not happening for a channel of our size and the amount of guys we have. So we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff,
It's also cool to do what you want to, because like if something does come out, you're like, oh, I want to try that, and like you can't. We
totally.
Can't.
Yeah, because we're in the market of creating our own brand more than working for another brand, I guess, or working for multiple brands.
Yeah, like more. I wouldn't even call it a brand because we don't. I mean, Luke has the brand, and you can check out theleakyjumbo.com and get shirts. But we more of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
We like this. I don't know. We call it the Deer Shop lifestyle, and that's kind of what we're into. We really enjoy it, and we have a bunch of guys that come in here on the podcast and stuff like you do, and it's different, and I like that. I like having the differences. Even amongst our own guys, we have huge differences. We got dudes that are hunting with a 500 feet per second crossbow over a mountain of corn, and then we got dudes that
we make fun of them a lot.
Yeah, and then we got dudes, that do a little bit of everything like us. We'll dabble here and there. We're just hunters, and then we got like pure fucking, like Jay, for example. Like, I can't hunt within 1,000 yards of a corn pile. I will never do this. I will never do that. These guys are all handicapped, blah, blah, blah. And it's all on the same crew. So that's what I enjoy. There's a lot of diversity with our group, And you're a one-man operation, right?
Yeah, and I've intentionally kind of tried to keep it that way. I mean, obviously, regardless of what your goal is, there's a huge benefit of having a team. And just, one person can only do so much. But for the sake of the creative control, just the overall direction of what I want to do, just literally everything, like, it's just made sense to do on my own right now. And then now that it's something that I'm building into a career, and like you said, if First Light came to you and said, hey, we're gonna give you full season camo for.
Oh, we would 100%.
They're like, oh wait, you got 8 guys. Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Or to me, it's like you just gotta set me up.
Yep.
And it's one set of stuff.
Because we're gonna have, no matter what, there's gonna be guys showing up in the shop here, or I'm gonna be filming some of my buddies that aren't gonna be following whatever it is that our group has been given. And that's. I'm just not willing to do that.
I think you made the point, like, you're more interested in creating your own thing versus like working for. Like at a certain point, you work with enough brands and you have a certain amount of deliverables, and like you're basically just an employee working for multiple companies now, accountable for certain things. So it's a fine line to walk. And but at the same point, or you were talking about like if you want to be able to try this or you like this, you want to use it. Like I've made a big point to only align myself with brands that I truly believe in, and I've had camo companies in the past reach out and say, hey, we want to work with you. And at the time, like the amount of money they were offering me was like would have been very substantial, and helping me achieve certain goals. And I had them like send me the stuff, and it's like, listen, like I don't like this. It's noisy. I don't think I'll be warm enough wearing this stuff. And I sent it back. So having like authenticity is, I think it's super critical, especially when you start taking on paid deals, because as soon as you start taking on sponsorships, people are like, oh, you sold out. And like this year, like I am changing some of my gear and working with some different companies. So it's like you might notice like, oh, wow, you're working with a different optics company now. Like you sold out. And first of all, it's like, well, damn right I sold out, dude. I'm trying to get paid to hunt and
you're trying to make your living in the industry, and that is how you do it in today's world.
The literal perfect example is on our background TV. So the camera can't see it, but we always have a background TV on the shop, and it's Whitetail Edge, and it's Ben Rising, and he starts to show off with like 15 different sponsors.
They've been flashing down here.
And then the next, if you watch last year's season, 12 different sponsors, and the season before that, 10 different sponsors.
But when you're trying to make a living, that's what you have to do in the industry.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The thing that where I do see a problem is they say, you're not going to kill big bucks unless you use this product. At the end of the day,
we all know that's bullshit.
It's all BS. And right now, like all the companies out there, most companies are making awesome gear. So it's like if you like this brand, obviously I'd love you to use all the brands that I'm using because it helps and everything else. But like if you're using a different saddle, like I'm sure it's great quality. Like it's going to work fine, and there's pros and cons to all of them. So that's the fine line of like trying, if you are taking on money and starting to do some of that stuff, like don't just take the first paid deals you get thrown, that come your way, because a lot of them,
And we've seen that with some of our buddies that are working on their way into the industry. They're wearing some camo that is just.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
What the fuck?
I mean, when I saw it, I was like, what is that?
And the funny part
they got the name just right.
I know a bunch of dudes, not like guys that I've met over the years, that are all like invested in that now, and they're all wearing that camo.
Yeah. So when they launched their company, they must have just reached out to like every YouTuber that was making videos and said, hey, and a bunch of people bid on it. But that stuff is ugly.
He did kill 250 and then 150.
If he was actually wearing it when he killed it, it's up to.
Yeah. I mean, there's no video of him in the tree in the shot. But I'm just kidding, Joey. So like for example, though, I used to be early VHS days hunting videos. I was obsessed with Drury. Their stuff early, their early turkey hunt videos, all that stuff to me was pretty much perfection when it comes to hunting social media.
And that's what we watched growing up.
But now I can't even watch Drury. Like I will not turn it on, because you just turn it on and it's a 30-minute advertisement for DeerCast and their own stuff, and it's just they'll say DeerCast 1,000 times. You can play drinking games with the DeerCast,
which we did one.
And their footage is great, but to be honest, we're going to be hypocritical here because I helped kill a 150-inch buck out of a blind this year, an elevated blind, but Drury and Bomar and some of these big name guys are all hunting out of rednecks or like elevated enclosed blinds, and the quality of the hunt is not good. Yes, there's a 200-inch deer that comes in and gets shot, but everything is just so scripted and unwatchable.
You've seen one of those hunts, you've seen them all.
Yeah, that's why I like watching like a channel like yours, channel like ours, all these smaller YouTube channels where guys are out in the woods, private or public, hanging and banging, or even hunting. It's so much more entertaining and a better product than the redneck blind. The door opens, kabam! Oh my god, I can't believe I shot my 880-inch buck.
That's been our
it's
giant
like,
pet peeve.
What do you mean you can't believe it? I would have bet $1,000 and won in Vegas that you were going to kill that buck. What do you mean? Like
that's our giant pet peeve lately is people coming up to these bucks, like the big TV hunters.
Tyler Jordan comes up to a buck and says, "I can't believe it." What? You have an unlimited budget. You own Realtree and can hunt anywhere in the world.
We can believe you
what
shot the
do
150.
you mean you can't believe it?
My pet peeve is, I mean, a lot of people have problems with him in general, but Bomar, every single buck that he shoots, my biggest typical yet, or the biggest typical I've ever hunted. It's like you've literally
If
said that
it would have been
single...
an 11-pointer, it would have been my
That's
biggest
the one-
11-pointer.
That's the one this year that drove me crazy. He so the buck ended up scoring like 183 or 185, and he made like a huge chart and posted it. If it didn't break this point off, if it had an abnormal point here, it would have been 200. So he's like almost 200-inch buck, and that just drives me crazy.
He has his role in it. You know, we've talked about him on our podcast probably 5 or 6 times, and he gets brought up quite often, especially when we have other guys in the hunting industry on. He has his role in the industry for sure. He is that like enigma. He's that like charismatic figure that everyone's going to talk about no matter what. Everyone knows his name. He's going to make headlines. He's going to cut his arm off and take his shirt off and walk into the ER, dropping blood. Like that's, and he has his role, and I'm sure we've all listened to the Hunter podcast with him. And I actually, it's funny. Did you listen?
Mm-hmm.
So we all kind of liked him more after that Hunter podcast.
I agree.
So, like, I didn't like him before the Hunter podcast that much. I did like him when he was back in Ohio hunting out of ground blinds a little bit more. Like before he was super famous, I kind of liked him. Then then I stopped. Then I kind of disliked him for a while with all the stuff that comes on there. The Hunter podcast opened my eyes a little bit, but instantly after the Hunter podcast came out, he douched it up again like 5 times, and just my opinion went away again.
But he's a genius because he's doing all this and he's making a hell of a living.
Oh,
I mean, millionaire.
They're making
just from
so
doing
much
this
money.
On the physical side, with the supplements, on the hunting side, on the marketing side, the broadheads,
the new broadhead
nose
thing,
buttons.
He can't put enough out for people to buy at $50 a piece or whatever these broadheads are.
He's got fanboys, man.
It's insane.
But that would be the dream of anyone who runs a hunting social media of any kind, would be to have enough fans that you could sell something.
Because he's his own brand. His name is his own brand, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed that he doesn't use his wife anymore like he used to. So like Bomar early got famous because Sarah was an attractive female that was in the weightlifting circuit and was on camera killing these bucks. She still does, but they've definitely pulled back from that. And now it's Josh.
They
it's
posted
Josh
some of their bow fishing videos.
Yeah, I just saw one of him cutting big fillets off of the side.
Yeah.
Big fillets off this carp, and then you got wife in the background, wearing a bikini and stuff.
And that's off-season content that's needed for a channel that has nothing to do in April, May, June. But I will admit that like when it comes to the deer hunting stuff, they have really honed in on just trying to kill really big bucks and then do the eccentric shit. Like burn his truck up and cut his arm
I don't
off.
like him. I'm not a fan, but I definitely respect what he's doing.
Yeah, you got to.
It's impressive.
I hate Tom Brady, but like
there's a lot of people that have problems with a lot of people in the industry. But at the end of the day, it's like, am I jealous? I mean, not necessarily like apples to apples, but it's like, would I love to be in your position of, having all this money and being able to buy farms in Iowa and grow 200-inch bucks.
Have 4 assholes sitting in a garage talking about him.
Exactly.
I don't know if I would trade places with Josh Bomar per se, but
I don't know about trade
I
places,
understand what you're saying.
I would like a little chunk of his reach. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I like what he did. I would like what he did for myself. We're watching the background TV. There's the famous, that deer really likes to chew on that log. For some reason, that deer is just putting his head behind that log a lot, chewing on it.
Oh, I see corn pile.
Yeah, and apples. But yeah, so I don't even know how we segued to Josh Bomar, but
anytime you talk about the industry, that's what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. How do you feel about this CJ Alexander stuff?
I honestly haven't really paid too much attention to it. I mean, I just know like the cliff notes. I haven't watched any. I mean, everybody's posting stuff about it now just to try to.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger deal here because it's local.
Yeah.
It's not far from us here, and so everyone's bringing it up. But we don't have to. If you haven't watched a lot of it, then we don't even have to get into that again. We have the last couple podcasts because every time we do a podcast, more information has been coming out.
If you have 5 hours to burn, which I'm sure you don't, you can watch the podcast and it'll catch you all up on it.
Yeah, and Hunter also.
The Hunter podcast.
Hunter has 2 now. They have him on,
and then
they
their
have
own.
And then they have a third one of the after effect of everything. Just released.
Well, one thing we haven't talked about is camera equipment.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to, because you saw and you asked when you came in, we're using these Lumix GX6s. We have 2 of these. This is what we switched to them this year just to do all our B-roll. And one of the specific reasons why we got these cameras was for the podcast, because a lot of mirrorless and DSLR cameras have the problem of overheating. You can only record 30 minutes, and you can't, plug them in and record. These have unlimited recording, so we can record a 6-hour podcast if we want to. Plug it into the wall. We don't have to worry about the battery.
Yeah, we have one here, but we're also recording.
Yeah,
what you're watching is from.
And they're cheap for what they are.
Yeah, we've got a steal on the ones we've got, honestly. Yeah. I mean,
do they shoot 4K 120?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which we haven't messed around with that much yet. I was shooting all mine just 4K 30.
But that's what we recorded mostly is 4K 30.
Because we've just started getting into more editing programs. We're using DaVinci, so we're going to start using like 10-bit color.
I'm learning that right now.
All that
stuff. Are you a DaVinci guy?
I'm learning.
He's learning.
If you go out,
it was a pretty fast learning curve for me.
At my house on YouTube right now is like DaVinci Resolve Master Class, beginner to expert level.
That's one of the reasons we switched to it, because there's so much you can learn from it. We were using Corel before, which is kind of like a.
So it was Video Studio.
It's like a basic program, but it was almost like iMovie, like it was like the Windows version of iMovie basically. So it's pretty simple, but there's no tutorials on it. There's not all this information, and DaVinci just has an unlimited amount.
See, I was using Premiere Pro, so there was a lot of stuff about it, but everyone that I know that used Premiere or Final Cut Pro, like the other two like main ones, I would say are switching to DaVinci for a lot of different reasons. So
you get the studio version?
I'm waiting to learn a little bit more before I pull the trigger.
Well, I bought it.
But you did buy it?
Yeah, like a month ago.
Yeah, I haven't started using it.
I think we can get 2 computers on it.
You can.
Cool.
Because
that does limit some of the codecs and all that we can film in. So I've just been filming in the 8-bit 30 frames per second 4K because that's what I can edit on the free.
Yeah.
But once we get the studio version, we can.
Yeah, you need 4K 120. You need the studio version.
Yeah.
Yeah, we it was tough before because we didn't have. I was using this laptop actually right here to edit for the last. I don't know. I got this in 17 maybe. So for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been editing on this laptop, and it did an okay job. I'd had to edit in proxies, and we were doing Video Studio. DaVinci did not run well on this, but we ended up through one of Ethan's coworkers ended up getting a deal on a built computer. So a built desktop. So I ended up I ended up buying 2 32-inch 4K monitors, and my setup at home is pretty solid. And with the DaVinci now, I can just, all the Deer Camp Chronicles episodes you see, those are pretty much made in one day. I can once I have everything pre-set up, my workflow, I'm putting those episodes together in 3 or 4 hours, like just quick, because there's no lag time. Everything works when you go to use it. There's no like runarounds or workarounds that I have to do.
Yeah,
there's
no laggy footage. There's no crashing. There's none of this.
Yeah, the only major lag I've had has been denoising denoising really grainy dark footage, and then like some transitional
stuff. Does it work pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, it works good. I need to get a little bit of a faster graphics card and processor to really stretch
from
it
the
out.
research we've done, the denoising feature on DaVinci uses like all the GPU, everything that you possibly have.
It slows it down to a crawl, but that's the only thing. Otherwise, I'm editing in 4K without proxying.
So that's why we switched to these cameras, because they film in every codec we want. Basically, I mean, you can film 6K ProRes with these things if you wanted to.
I like it that they got the flip out, fully articulating screen, because mine doesn't.
It's got every feature you could ever want,
and they're like $1,000.
Yeah, instead of like
if we wanted to use
the big
Sony
timers are all
R5
using Sonys, but so what are you filming?
I'm running a Sony A7 III.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, it shoots 4K 60, but the screen doesn't flip out like this. It only. Yours doesn't even do it. All it does is flip up.
This actually does it too.
Oh, okay. So that's like all it does. So if I'm trying to film, and if it was my primary camera, and I'm trying to shoot a deer over here, and I can't flip it out like that and be able to see what I'm doing. So I've been running that as like my B camera just on me fixed, which is like way overkill for most people to run as a B-roll cam. But and then I'm running like a Sony AX700 as camcorder as my primary, because I do like the one.
That's what. So Caleb, I'm the only one that's using a mirrorless camera for my main cam. Everybody else, you guys using Canon G50s.
Yeah.
So it's like an entry level 4K camera, and Caleb has a Panasonic
HCX 2000, which is like
so it's like
mid-level,
bigger camera with an XLR mic and all that crap.
Yeah, and with my remote and stuff, I can just I run a really heavy 4th arrow. Well, I just run the regular double 4th arrow arm, but I have a really heavy head with the camera, so like my shit's rock solid, just one-handed operation, focusing everything. But it does suffer a little bit in low light. Moving forward, now that we have 2 of these, I might start packing that camera for that low light archery shot, because I don't care about zooming, getting far out footage at last light. I need to get crisp, clear kill shot
and
footage.
that 4K 120, just watch that lighted knock disappear into a
we
deer.
haven't messed around with that much yet, but we're going to for sure.
Every year we add a little bit more.
Yep.
Sound was big this year, so we're all running shotgun mics. We have Isaac Scott lapel mics.
Started using lapel mics a little bit.
I don't like
we need to
lapel
do it
mics,
full time,
but I don't like lapel mics when hunting. I think it sounds very unnatural to like I hate that when you're hunting. Like I want to hear
almost
shotgun.
like you almost need a mixture of the two.
Right. I like having the shotgun mic for hunting and hearing the leaves crunch and the wind blow and the footage, the sound from afar. But in this one thing we were going to get into, if we have time, is like you're big on the product review stuff. I've noticed that your channel's done a lot of. You've started moving in that way. Having the lapel mics for that is essential.
Totally.
Like the good sound, and we have a bunch of product review videos where we haven't used.
Yeah,
the
that's
lapel
what
mics.
screwed us. We didn't start running lapel mics and like the wireless lab mics until after we did some of these review videos. So we have a few review videos just using a shotgun mic like this, and the sound, it's echoey. This because the sound in here is not very good. And those videos did really well. So we're like, crap, these videos did well. They sound like shit. But now
people actually comment on. They're like, "Good video, but your sound's awful."
And we're like,
"I
we
know."
Thanks for the extra engagement, though.
Like, I know.
Comment more, please.
Yes.
So we're this year we have a whole bunch of products we got lined up that we want to do some reviews on that we use this year for the off season, and we'll be using lapel mics.
And that's so the wireless lav mic. When I was out west hunting by myself, I was using those only, which was super nice because I don't have all this crap hanging off the camera. I'm the only one there. I'm the only one talking.
Yeah.
So it was easier just to have that clipped on, and I can talk to the camera. I don't have all the crazy mics and stuff.
See, that's interesting because I'm mostly a one-man band, and I figure like since I'm holding the camera or right in front of the camera, like I'll just use a shotgun mic in most cases.
Yeah, and it usually sounds pretty well. I had a big problem this year because it was so windy. Everywhere I went was windy, and that little lapel mic right here with the little windsock on it.
Which one are you running?
Mine's a Hollyland, it's called. Okay. It's like a cheaper version of the Rode, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It was like $100, something like that. And it sounds pretty well, but with that little...
Is it just a clip-on? There's no, like, cord to another pack
just
or
a clip-on.
Okay.
And then I plugged that right into the camera. But it cut down on that wind noise a lot. I run the shotgun mic, and you just hear...
You're right.
No matter what. But that's pretty much our equipment. I don't know what we're going to do
We tried to get away from GoPros. We all still use them for
'em.
second angle, and I have the cage on mine, so I can do some entry interviews, and it sounds okay as long as it's not too windy.
It's not so bad, and when you're watching it, if it's good lighting, it's okay until you mix it in with these mirrorless cameras. Then, like, you got this crappy, grainy GoPro blown out highlights footage.
Yep.
And then your DSLR footage is perfect. So they're all right by themselves, but you start mixing them, and you're like, you can really pick out the shitty.
My
footage
problem
in
with
there.
them, I think they're perfect for what they're intended to be, is like an action camera, like have it on a head mount if you're like stalking a bear and you don't have a cameraman with you. Like it's better than nothing, especially. But I've had so many problems, and I'm running like the 11. It's not, I don't know, we're up to the 14 or something.
Yeah.
But it's been one of the newer models. I'm not running like the 5. And I couldn't tell you how many times, as soon as it gets a little cold, I'll click it on, think it's videoing, full battery, and it says like, shutting down, battery warning, and it's like I'll turn it on again. It's like it's showing full bars. Like I just charged this thing.
They don't like
and they're
being
worthless.
cold.
Are you using white batteries? So we run the white batteries in them, and I have actually not had that much of a problem with the cold weather.
It's a
They're
newer
cold weather
batteries.
batteries. My problem is sometimes the cage in the GoPro. So do you use the cage on yours with the mic?
I have one, but I don't use it a lot.
So I use that exclusively. But sometimes, and it's actually happened inopportune times a few times now, and it happened this week when I was hunting. The connection between the cage and the camera won't work, and the sound, it'll lose its sound. It won't record any sound, so you have all this soundless video, which pisses me off.
I just hate that they're laggy and they freeze. Like you go to turn it on second angle cam, so you just have to click the button and it's on, and then you look up and it's not on for whatever reason.
Right.
And you're like clicking it, and like you got to take the battery out of it to get it.
Yeah,
to work.
mine started to get tired in that
How
way.
unreliable they are is what makes me mad.
Our phones are so good nowadays. I've been starting to, like, if I'm shooting like an interview or something, like
Just use your phone.
I've been starting to use my phone because like the audio quality is like surprisingly good for just a handheld.
You airdropping it to a Mac?
I don't. You said you got somebody that built you guys out a computer. I basically had somebody that I used to work with that used to be in the computer, whatever. He was a computer geek, and he built me out this like just crazy fast computer, and I don't know all the specs on it anymore because it's been a while, but like just basically like when you build out a computer custom, like that's way cheaper than trying to buy something or buy a laptop with all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love Mac, and eventually if I ever make a lot of money doing this. I'll probably go back to it. But
we hate
the apples that apple to apple.
But to take the footage off your phone is nice.
It'd be super
That's
nice.
all we do. We'll transfer some footage over and then just.
I use like Google Drive, I think, sometimes.
Okay, yeah. Because when I go out west, I have a bunch of phone scope footage from my phone. That's the only way I've been able to reliably like bring it out. And I'll talk about that. This year I'm switching away from the phone scope. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to sell my spotting scope, get a long lens for the camera, and then just glass with my binos and use a long lens in the camera. That's my goal for this year. But we'll see, because phone scopes suck. You can get good footage sometimes.
I could never, you get the specific case for your phone and you slap it on there, and I could never get to the line up. But now there's the magnetic.
I had
ones.
A good combo. I just used the actual phone scope brand. It's like plastic. And
I did too, and I still couldn't get it.
And for some reason, everybody I talked to has problems, and mine just made it very well. So I was able to just click mine in, and boom, I'm ready to go. You got to mess a little bit with the focus between the phone and the spotting scope, and the footage is always washed out.
3 lenses that are. Like the video lens is different than the picture lens, which is different than the close-up lens.
So this year, I think I'm switching to a long lens on my mirrorless, glassing with binos.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see if I make that investment or not.
I posted a poll on my YouTube channel a couple weeks ago, and it basically was like, if there was an easy way for you to film your hunts, would you be interested in doing so? And 80% of the people said yes, but not a lot of people want to buy a mirrorless camera, get a big ass arm or anything like that. But one of my old college teammates, he started this company. I don't know if you've seen them, Painted Arrow Outdoors. They make those like a magnetic phone mount for your stabilizer.
Yeah.
And like THP, they partner with THP now. It's blown up. It was just like him and his buddy, and it's turned into this big company, and they're at ATA right now. But when I went down to Missouri this last trip, we were working on something together. So I used all their products for that, and it was the first time I really filmed with my phone a lot. I still did my normal, carried all my other cameras. So I had, 6 cameras going in the tree instead of only 5. But, they have that one, which is pretty cool because, it's like a really strong magnet. And it's like you already have your phone out, you just slap it on there and you're good to go. But then they have some other mounts that they just came out with, a gear strap with a mount that kind of swivels. So if you wanted to do, a second angle or watch a football game while you're sitting there in your saddle or something.
I've done that many times.
I think I saw that posted.
They just
a lot of people commented on it you should be watching football when you're hunting. That post went
How are you supposed
to
text on your phone if you're using it as your camera?
So that is one of the problems, and that's one thing. At the same time, it's I was going through my footage from Iowa when I had a cameraman, and it's half the clips are me sitting there on my phone looking at trail cam pictures or literally anything. And it's damn, I'm on my phone a lot. So when I was in Missouri, I was intentionally just slapping on my bow stabilizer and leaving it there. So it's I can actually be present in the moment and not be, nowadays we're so, stuck to our phones.
Programmed to it.
If there was 10 seconds of silence on this podcast, I bet 2 of us would be reaching for our phones.
Yeah, Ethan's probably already had his.
I
checked
mine
Luke back.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I like getting in, the one thing I will say about having your phone in the tree stand when you're hunting, I like getting in early. And then just spending 45 minutes, reading on Reddit and using the group chat. And then when prime time comes, I slide it in.
Yeah. Yep.
But I also, it helps. I know we're there's legality issues and stuff, but there's been so many times where you don't check your phone when you're hunting. And then I go check it and Ethan will be the major one was when I shot my buck 2 years ago and you watch it lay down in front of you, dying. And
Caleb didn't check his phone.
I wasn't playing with my phone. I didn't have my phone out, and it wouldn't have mattered anyways. I don't think, because you were using that Japanese phone at the time, because he was home. He was home from Japan on leave. I shot this buck. It lays down in front of Ethan behind a log where he can't get another shot. It's heads bobbing, and then I wait. I was on the ground when I shot him, heading back actually. So I start following the blood trail, and he's texting the shit out of me, dude, stop.
And then you bumped.
And I just walked right up on him and bumped him, and then we ended up finding him, but. Situations like that where phones can be useful. I don't know what the legalities are. If I would have checked my phone, I don't think you can use it in the pursuit of game legally in Ohio.
Technically, if he would have told you that it was laying there, you couldn't have went over and shot it.
No, but I told you to go away.
Yeah, right. You were dude,
stop.
Yeah. But so phones in the tree stand. But
any other major? We're over an hour now, just so you know.
I wanted to just touch a little bit on your YouTube strategies. We've bounced around on this a little bit. I see that you post a lot of shorts. Do you see that helps your channel outside of getting a couple subscribers here and there? Does that help your long form videos or no?
I'm not sure.
Because I don't think ours does.
I'm not sure, but I also don't really care. Like if you look at any of the people that have built large personal brand, like Gary Vee is like an obvious one. Gary Vee, or there's like, I don't know, there's a lot of different people.
Crispy and
not even him. I'm talking more like social media or like marketing. Just like they're posting like hundreds of pieces of content a day across all platforms and stuff like that. And it's like every time you open your phone, it's there. And my thought process with it, and I could look at this two different ways. One, like all these people follow me from these shorts, which may be different than my long form, and then they see my long form and don't click on it, and then YouTube says, well, you have all these subscribers that didn't click on your long form. We're not going to promote it to anyone else. I see it more right, wrong, or indifferent. You know, hey, you watched 2 of my short form videos in the last week, so when I do post a long form video, it might pop up in your feed versus never popping up in your feed to begin with.
And they may recognize you, and that's a huge thing in the industry.
I've noticed, and it's just such a different demographic. Like the guys that are commenting on our long form video and watching a lot of our videos are like 30, 45, an hour long. The guys that are commenting on it and watching it are not the same kind of people that are liking the shorts and reels. You know, they're just totally, one is like a younger generation millennial type crowd, saddle hunters and all that, and then the other one is an old guy sitting in his house watching it on a TV, you know.
And you're trying to get some recognition in the industry, so the more your face is out there.
But, I mean, ultimately, I think long-form YouTube content specifically probably drives the most sales. Like, like I do different, whatever, I have ways of tracking certain things, and, like, without a doubt, drives the most sales and has the most impact. But for the longest time, I've been thinking about YouTube as only long-form, and now it's like, why, you know, and ultimately, like, I want all my videos to get a ton of views, but it's like I'm also trying to do short-form, and same thing, I've kind of Instagram, which I would say is probably like the most popular one aside from YouTube. Like Facebook's kind of outdated, but I think there's a big opportunity there too. But I've been looking at Instagram as just a way to drive people to YouTube instead of build an Instagram following, which
I tried that. My goal last year was to build an Instagram following, and man, I struggled at it.
Yeah, it's tough.
My Instagram following did not increase at the level I wanted it to. Well, we've kind of figured out YouTube. Like we got YouTube down, not to a science, but like we know what's going to do well, and we know what videos are going to do well. And we know we're going to get our subscribers, and it's growing. We double every year, so we're doing good on that. Instagram, I can't figure it out. I try posting at opportune times, reels and pictures.
And you did get on a roll like last year in the beginning with the trail camera channel.
Yeah, I did build. Yeah, our trail camera channels built. They both, the Instagram and the YouTube, they both got a lot of followers, but there's no view time, so it doesn't really matter. You know, like
I think. Sorry.
Well, I would get I was posting like trail cam shorts on my one trail cam channel, and like, you know, we went over 1,000 subscribers in like a couple months, but like the watch time was like 7 hours. So like it didn't matter, you know. So it just that's just a hobby, an off-season hobby for me. Is those secondary type channels, but
I think the main difference in why I think YouTube is the way to go if you're trying, like, because there are people that are building just a hunting Instagram and they're trying to build their brand on that, and like sponsors still pay people for that. But where I see the difference of the two is YouTube is it's owned by Google, so it's like search based content, and if you have good content, it's alive for forever. Whereas if you post an Instagram reel or something, they occasionally will like cycle through reels and they'll be like a little bit older, but like for the most part, like the stuff you post today is going to be shown in the feed today and then like gone forever to live on your profile. But that's really it. Whereas YouTube, like you could put out a video and, you know, you go to your page right now and there's videos from 5 years popping up in your home feed.
Yeah, that's what ours. So we call them chuggers, but some of our big videos, we'll post them and then they'll just keep getting views.
You know, from like 3 or 4 years ago, we got videos that are still getting like 300 views a day.
We'll post
from years ago.
We'll post a video that might get 5,000 views in a month, and then that's it. So it's
well,
weird,
Nick's,
like which ones become
buck from
chuggers.
This year is a
which ones
perfect
don't.
example. So Nick killed a 150-inch buck right after. It was the day after extended gun season. We put the video up there, Deer Camp Chronicles. Like boom, 13,000 views in a week, and then
on a 45-minute
boom,
video.
then it dropped off like to nothing. You know?
I don't quite.
But then other
understand
videos
that.
are just like 1,000 views a day, every day. Keep going, like no matter what, you know. So it's interesting to see what categories all these videos will fit into, and I can categorize them based on the graphs. So if you look at the line graph, you got different types of graphs that show
straight
up.
ups, and then you got the ones that are just going gradually. Then it's so strange how.
And then last year we had one. This is the strange one.
Anomaly.
Yeah, last summer we had a video from the fall that did okay. like mid-June or July, bam, like 20,000 views in a week out of nowhere. Just
a
blew up.
It was just a rut hunting video, no kills, no anything. Just
there was a track.
All of a sudden,
we had a track. Our buddy's dad shot a buck, and we tracked it at the end. A lot of footage of bucks, during the rut. It out of nowhere.
I got recommended on some video that went viral. Do you remember? There was a video, I don't know, 2 years ago of it was a trail cam video of a buck that was like a zombie buck, and his whole side was just gone, and you could like see
the
him.
one that looked like he got run over by a combine or whatever.
So I don't even remember what video it was at the time, but like my video was like the top recommended video for that.
Okay.
So that one the zombie buck video like went absolutely nuts, and then like my video was like 60,000 in a day, and I was like, what is going on? And then it kind of ended.
It was just because of that one video.
So it was. I wish that would happen more.
I mean,
we're trying.
And the weird part is, like, I don't think, and like, you can do everything in the world to get the best thumbnail, make the best intro, and have good content, and you're still kind of at the mercy of YouTube. Like, we've had some of our greatest videos that, like, I mean, I would consider them
swept
great
under
videos,
the rug,
just kind of gone, like, never seen. A couple thousand views here or there maybe, and that's it. And they're like great videos, but you have no control over that.
And then there's certain ones that you're like, it's okay. And then they take we talked about it before, that shed hunting video I did. Like I posted that. So that was in northern Michigan. So already we had waited until kind of the tail end of shed hunting season because we needed all the snow to melt in northern Michigan. Like it's winter forever up there.
Yeah.
So and then it took me a long time to put the video together just because there was a lot of content and, there wasn't a real good storyline. Like I didn't do a great job of like when we were out there, I was just kind of like filming random stuff.
Yeah. So you couldn't just boom.
Yeah. It took me a while to like compile it all. And honestly, part of me was like, if I didn't already commit to making a video, I probably would just like not even do a video on this. So I finally put it out and it did like really well. And it got like 10,000 views in a short amount of time. And I was like, all right. And then it kind of plateaued and like, and it's just been like, it's a chugger.
Yeah,
it's a chugger,
man.
Now we're at 125,000 or something.
I've watched it twice. I watched it once like 6 months ago.
Because
I watched it again.
up.
And then I watched it again this week.
And we're still not at shed hunting season. Like we're getting there again. So I'm hoping it just like freaking takes off again.
I love shed hunting, but like to me, like I actually will watch shed hunting videos. I know a lot of people don't. Like it sucks to me that turkey hunting and shed hunting are nothing on YouTube because I love doing those two things, and I spend a ton of time making shed hunting and turkey hunting videos, but no one watches them.
Yeah,
for the
it's
most
tough.
part. Like for the most part.
There are certain people out there though that their like entire channels based around turkey hunting and they perform really well and. Yeah, and then I post them and they don't do well at all.
So they're, and that's probably because the people that subscribe to my channel and your channel, our channels, are like deer hunters. So like they might not even care about turkeys at all, But then you got the guys, there are. I know there's like Clay Come Outdoors, and then there's what's his name? Smokes the black and mild every time he shoots one, like the best turkey hunter on earth. What's his name?
I've seen a lot of people do that, but I don't know enough about turkey hunting. No,
it's gonna kill me that I don't remember it. But he's like the turkey hunting guy. He self films all his stuff. Like his channel's huge. I think he's completed the Super Slam, I believe. Pinhoti.
Oh yeah.
Pinhoti project, and then obviously THP and Drury does a lot of turkey hunt stuff, but. Yeah, just for whatever reason, I can't get our turkey on videos to do much. I mean, and I like putting them together. I like the cinematic aspect of what's available in the springtime. The footage is
turkey
great.
hunting's awesome.
Yeah, turkey hunting's fun, but
it's a blast.
The videos, like you put a lot of effort in them and they do nothing. But
I think to your point though, like your audience is built based around whitetail hunting for the most part or whatever, and
I think our audience is guys that would want to come in here and just hang out, drink a couple drinks, and watch TV.
My goal for everything is like you look at certain people like. Chris B now, like he was a Michigan guy, and people love him, people hate him, whatever. Like
I'm 50-50.
The guy can post anything with just a thumbnail of literally nothing with a clickbait title that is not SEO friendly, and it's gonna blow up no matter what video it is. And I would love to get to that point.
You see his
it's a grind.
My favorite video of his is actually that random video he did on the update on the metrics on his moose hunt. Did you see that video where he's like, I got 1 million views on this moose hunt. I made $16,000.
Yeah, he goes through the numbers and he shows all
like
the graphs.
That's kind of cool to see that someone actually gives some of that insider info because it's not given out a lot.
Especially
you're never going to see THP
especially in the hunting industry
or Midwest Whitetail or any of these big guys ever like talk about the money that they're making. But he broke that video down, which was really cool.
That's been the steepest learning curve with what I'm doing is trying to work with brands and whether they come to me or I come to them and try to come up with an agreement, because there's no rule book on like, hey, this is how much you're worth. This is you're getting this many views. This is how big your following is. This is how much you should charge. Because there's people in the, like at the bottom, it's hyper competitive, like, and people are willing to sell their soul for 50% off discount or a free hat.
Yeah, right.
And I think brands just rape creators because of that, because they can, because so many people everyone wants to have a TV show or whatever.
Saturated.
And so at that bottom level, it's so hard to get out of. But once you do and kind of break out of that super hyper competitive arena, it's like, okay, like, I can actually go start asking for money from some of these brands because I have enough value and enough, whatever I'm doing, whether, there's kind of two sides of things. There's the influencing side of things where it's like I have a following and they trust me and, and then there's the more content creator side of things where it's like I'm very good with the camera. I'm going to take very good product pictures and photography, all that stuff.
So you're going to almost be making commercials for them, stuff like that.
Yeah, so like I'm kind of a blend of those two. Like I don't have like a humongous following. I have a decent following.
Bigger than ours.
And I'm decent at doing the photography and videography. I'm not like hyper specialized in that. So I kind of blend them both. But there's nothing out there saying, hey, you should charge them this much, or a brand might come to me, or we might be talking to say, okay, well, this is the dollar amount we'll agree upon, but like what deliverables are you going to commit to? And it's like, am I overcommitting? Am I giving you everything in the kitchen sink when I could have just gave you?
Because there's no guide on what
exactly.
So and the thing that sucks is there's like if you read on forums, Reddit, whatever, anything that has to do with YouTube or video channels is like 1,000% geared towards gaming and professional reaction
so
channels
much different
and stuff.
than
There's like the market of people that are taking a camera and going outside and making videos is 0.1% of the entire market. So it's very hard to judge. Most guys doing what we're doing are actually working in the film industry out in California and working for TV shows. Like, there's not a lot of YouTubers that are actually filming with cameras and marketing themselves. And outside of hunting, maybe some car stuff, there's things that require it. The fishing channels is a big one. The guys like Demolition Ranch, but like other than that, like the majority of channels and any information you're going to read about is gaming, streaming, Twitch, stuff that I have zero interest in and does not translate to us whatsoever. No. Like it has no, and those poor bastards, like they talk about their CPM and their RPM, like their RPM's like 10 cents.
It's real low.
Like their RPM is 10 cents and ours can go from 10 to 15 bucks. So they're, our video that only has 1,000 views makes more than their video that has 100,000 views because their RPM is just ridiculously low because 8-year-old kids are watching them play Fortnite.
Yep.
There's no market. There's, it's a very interesting thing. So, like, basically, if you're in this industry, you're paving the way and making your own rules, basically. I mean, there's obviously the group above us. So I'd say that we're kind of like right here. You're here. We're here. You got Midwest Whitetail, Heartland Bowhunter, THP. Those guys can make rules a little bit differently because they're reaching millions of people. Yeah. Millions of people.
And one of the most helpful things, like, you want to reach, if this is your goal, and I think you probably, like, I know there's people, when I heard that there was other YouTube channels in this tiny town in Ohio that we live in.
There's at least 4 now.
There's at least 4.
There's at least 4.
I was flabbergasted that there's that many.
Yeah.
So I would imagine people watching this and just people in general, like, nowadays, like, there's a lot of interest in doing something like we're doing.
Well, this is the news. Social
100%.
Media now is your newspaper, your Channel 5 News at night, your Entertainment Weekly, anything that... All that stuff now is people like us dipping into that market.
Yep. But what I would say about all that is it's super, like, the thing that was the most helpful for me is and it took a while to build enough credibility for myself to even be able to, like, be in touch with some of these people. But, like, once you're able to build relationships with people that are further along than you are, like, they can start telling you, like, okay, this is how you should structure a brand deal or, build a media kit, or this is how I would, approach this pricing. And once you kind of build a network of people like that, it opens up a lot of doors, and that's been the most helpful thing for me.
Because then you're all working with each other and stuff like that. And we ran into a similar thing like that with the logo on Caleb's hat, which we'll talk about after you talk about what you were.
Yeah, so like, there's a YouTube channel that we really like, and so I've met them at some trade shows, and I just watched their stuff for years and reached out to them, and they, they're a bigger channel, and they're kind enough to message back and forth, and eventually, we met up with them at a trade show, and we're like, hey man, like, I love watching your guys' show. It's the Breaking Point TV, so I don't know if you watch them.
I know some of those guys.
Yeah, so they have their channel. I'm like, listen, I really like your guys' stuff. Like, we run a real small YouTube channel, have a real small brand, but we got this hat. It's actually the version is up there on the shelf over there, but this is the logos on a hat. I'm like, we're just going to, we got a bunch of these hats made. I'm going to throw you guys this hat. Like, I would love to see it one day. I just want to see it in one of your videos, like at your Dakota camp video. Like, it'd be cool for us to be sitting in the shop watching your guys' shit and our hat shows up. Well, they took the hat, didn't hear from them for a little bit. And then we get a message one day that Brennan has been wearing the hat and killed like 150
for the whole season. So I think it'll be the season that comes out next year.
Killed a 150-inch buck in Dakota out of a barn wearing the hat. And like, he approached my brother Luke, who owns that side of the business, and was like, I want to buy it. Like, I want that logo. So Luke ended up selling him the hat logo, and now they have like they do. It's not exactly the same, but it's like a leather patch version of this hat on their website. And that just opens a small little door. So now, now we're able to converse with these guys if we have questions about the industry or this and that. Like, they're going to come on the podcast probably sometime in February. I was talking back and forth with them. They're in on the podcast. Like, just small windows, here and there.
That goes a long ways, because if you do start talking to brands and it's somebody maybe they know, they can vouch for you, or you can reference them or say, hey, I was referred to you by. And
and for us, like I said, for a guy like your channel, it would be a huge thing to make all these professional connections. We just want to drink some beers and shoot some deer and hang out. Like, I don't care about the brand side of things. That's the fun part for us. But everyone's got their own thing that they want to do with it. It's cool to kind of get into the industry a little bit, and locally, our group around here, not even just our group, but Joey with Latitude, he's going up the chain there and meeting those guys and getting those connections, and just all these little things make it more fun. For us,
because we didn't really want to make a living doing this, but it is cool to have a little recognition.
Yeah,
totally.
Especially from its people that you're fans of. They actually recognize your video and stuff.
Yeah, I'm more interested. Like, having the voice to me is cooler than having the paycheck. Yeah. But we work dream jobs, so we don't have to worry about the paycheck part's covered.
My one proud moment was I don't know if you know who Brady Miller is. Go hunt. He's a big mule deer hunting guy.
I probably would recognize him. Yeah.
But I commented on one of his Instagram stories, and then he actually recognized me through him watching my bear video, and he said that. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The one guy I follow actually watched my video.
Yeah. That's the cool part. And that's the part about YouTube that we enjoy. Like, that's
because we post it out there and anybody can watch it. And if we make something that's cool, a lot of people watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the cool part about it. And then the one other thing I'll say for anybody who's interested in that type of stuff is, I always thought, and I think a lot of people think, if you make enough videos and you kill enough big bucks, brands just start reaching out, offering you money. That doesn't happen.
Unless you kill a really big buck. Because I've seen that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've seen that where there's a dude that has 5 videos, but one of them's a 200-inch buck, and all of a sudden he's Mr. First Light or Mr. Sitka, or
I wouldn't know. I've never killed the big bucks.
Yeah,
so
me neither.
Me either.
Not that big, at least. I kill average bucks.
Yeah, for me it's been so I was in sales before I exited corporate America, and I'm right back into that now, where it's I'm tracking down, doing research on the computer, trying to figure out who the marketing director is for whatever brand I'm wanting to work with, and then crafting a well-written email and
at least you're using your skills that you learn from there to.
But it's otherwise, I think I'd be just twiddling my thumbs, waiting for these brands to reach out and offer me free bows and free gear and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the early bird gets the worm, obviously. Guys that are proactive, squeaky nut gets the grease, however you want to call it.
So I think it's that, and the relationships are big time. So if you're not willing to kind of put yourself out there in either case, because you're never going to build the relationships if you don't.
Yeah, if you wait for it to, that's one thing we've talked about this. That's one thing where if you don't try to reach out and do something to make it happen, it's not going to happen. It's not just going to come find you. Unless you kill a world record buck, it ain't going to come find you. And killing a world record buck ain't going to happen. So,
and I think that goes for whether you're trying to build a brand or even just getting hunting permission somewhere. The answer is always no unless you ask. So if you're timid and afraid, and I think nowadays people are so used to text messaging, people are afraid to even answer the phone. So
100%.
Get a little uncomfortable, do some face-to-face stuff, and.
I actually see that you called me and texted me twice before you.
I was trying to figure out if I needed to be at this shop or the one across the road.
You found the right one. But yeah, I mean we're well over an hour now.
Yep.
We got a lot of stuff to do today, so we won't keep you. It's Browns playoff game here.
Mm-hmm. Big deal
for the Browns fans.
That's why we're doing this in the morning, and there's not beer. Most people that watch it see beers lined up here.
This is actually the second or third sober podcast in a row.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it works. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I guess I can't say good luck to you for the rest of the season because you already tagged
I'll shoot a doe or two yet.
Yeah.
I think.
Perfect.
My wife's
Us
like,
too.
you need to make an entire deer into jerky, please.
Yeah.
I said, I'll try.
Yeah, we got some does in our future, and hopefully another buck or two. We're still. I was hunting yesterday, and let me tell you, that was unbelievable. 60-mile-an-hour winds and blind. It's crazy.
Then this next week, it's going to be after, I think tomorrow.
Tuesday's
it's
my
going to
day,
be
I
real
think.
cold,
Yep.
and it's going to calm down a little bit with the wind, and I think it's going to be real
I'm looking
good.
forward to Tuesday. I might have a pretty realistic chance of killing that buck on Tuesday, hopefully. And if the wind is right, we can both hunt both sides of the field, and one of us will hopefully
Wait
get
and
an
see.
opportunity. But that's Aaron Olsen, Next Step Outdoors. This was episode 25. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, if you're a YouTuber, you got some cool stuff out of it. And
Yeah, feel free to ask any questions. We'll answer them in the comments.
leave a review. We need
Yeah.
reviews.
All right, perfect. This is Deer Shot Podcast, and we are out.